Alrighty, awesome. So, real quick, Dan, if you just want to explain how you got started with the whole thing, maybe some motivators or how long ago you started, just a little into your story.
Yeah, I always had wanted to own a gym, even when I was a young man. Always been kind of a gym rat, and studied sports medicine in college. Was working as a personal trainer up in Chicago, and got exposed to CrossFit. Started doing CrossFit in like 2005, when no one outside of the West Coast even knew what it was. And then got my level one with CrossFit in 2007 out in San Diego. And then I'm from Texas, moved back down to Texas in 2012. My wife and I opened King William District CrossFit in 2013, and we've been doing that ever since. And I love it more now than when I started. I love having a small community gym. It's just a great way, an authentic way to change people's lives, and a real just make people's quality of life better, both inside and outside of the gym. And when I was in the corporate fitness world, I was able to do that kind of individually with my clients, but there's still a lot of pressure to sell them stuff that, frankly, I don't think they need. And opening my own gym, I can let those people help each other too, because it brings them all together. And so it kind of exponentially is more powerful, because it's not just me meeting with these people, it's them meeting each other. And so I love that community aspect of it. And I love the CrossFit methodology, but it's also just the community a small gym like that has. And so it's a great way to, I think, in a real way, make people's lives better.
100%. Yeah, I completely agree with that. I also like the fact that, especially when doing something you love like CrossFit or working out, having a community around you and being able to help people with something that you like to do makes it all the much better work. You know what I mean? It's like you enjoy doing it every day. You enjoy being there, training other people. So yeah, 100%. I completely agree with that. I love that you're in the industry and have a little community around you, just people that like I like that you can know everybody by name and you could be like, oh, here, I could help you out, I could help you out, and you're just giving back to the community with doing something you
Well,
love.
yeah, to your point, it's so much more. Um, I'm fortunate. I'm one of the ones that I like to work out.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't. But even beyond that, I will say even too, I'm going to work harder in a group setting with other people around me than I'm going to in my driveway. And I'm one of the people that likes it. And so for so many other people, you're going to come more often because your friends are there. You're going to push a little bit harder. And that extra 20%, both in quantity of going and quality of what you put in each time, is making all the difference over the course of a lifespan with that. And yeah, it's a great way to like just get more out of people than you'd have, I think, get almost out any other way.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. If I was just to ask a question though, you said that you got from lifting to CrossFit. What really made that switch? Was it you just discovered CrossFit? You're like, this is awesome. Was it discovery, or did you know about it a little before you started, and there was something there that made the switch for you? Because
Good question.
even though very similar, it is different. It is a little bit more taxing on the body. So I was just wondering how that switch came about and how, when you first made that switch, did you know right away, like, wow, I'm in love with this? Or did it take a little bit to, work your butt off a little bit to, fall in love through hardship?
So yeah, I was always kind of a meathead myself. I like to be strong. I like to lift heavy, that kind of stuff. And then when I got exposed to CrossFit, I thought I was in good shape or fit or in good shape. And the workouts were kicking my ass very
Yeah.
quickly. I mean, devastating me. And I think when you have that response, I see people have that and they're like, this is dumb, or why the hell would I do this? And they go away from it. But then there's that other kind of personality. And I'm not the only one with this. That anybody that's done CrossFit has probably had this experience where they're like, man, I like this. I want to get into this. I want to take on this challenge. And that was my response is, holy cow, like I thought I was fit and I'm dying doing this kind of stuff. I'll never forget. I went to my level one in San Diego, and one of the guys that went on to win at the game, Jason Kalipo, was in my level one cert. He was just some dude at the time. I didn't know him. He didn't know me. But I didn't even know like how to do a kipping pull up. And you can talk about like I'm all for strict pull ups. I love them, and we could get into the details of I think why each has their place. But we're doing the classic workout called Fran, where you're doing thrusters and pull ups. And he and I are both out at the same time on the thrusters. And then he proceeds to finish the workout about 3 minutes later. And I take another 15 minutes to finish the workout. And I'm laying around outside for the next 45 minutes trying to compose myself. And it was just such a different kind of stimulus on the body. And I'll say, here I am at age 50, all these years later. So that was 15, 17 years ago. I still like being strong. I want to be strong, but I'm so much more fit in all the other ways. I have a great engine. I'm much more explosive. I have a lot better stamina and cardiovascular endurance. So I just think it's a much more well-rounded fitness. In CrossFit, we talk about we specialize in not specializing. We're the ultimate generalists. And so through that, you are going to be pretty strong, but you're going to have a good cardiovascular engine. You're going to also be pretty good at moving your body weight with a number of different movements. I just think it creates a unique kind of athleticism. So when you're doing a machine at the gym, if you're doing a leg press or a bicep curl, you're working certain muscles, and that's great. Those are good. But there's nothing athletic about that movement. It is working a specific muscle. If I have a dumbbell, that dumbbell doesn't do anything I don't tell it to. I can throw it across the room, I can stand on it, or I can do a dumbbell snatch or a curl. I can do anything. And that kind of freedom with the equipment we use makes all the little muscles gets involved, make you do stuff that I think translates to regular day life and overall fitness so much better, so that you're not just fit, you're athletic in the sense you can run and jump and move around stuff and do things like that, rather than just having, kind of big beach muscles, which are cool. I'm all for that too. But you have both, I think, when you work out in that method.
Yeah, and on that point, I think that, just there's a difference between being big and muscular and then being healthy. And then I think
Yep.
healthy, I think that relates to like your cardiovascular system, not just having big muscles. And I think especially when you're getting older, yeah, it's nice to lift, but when you're able to be athletic and go into all those different aspects of health, I feel like that's so much better for you, especially doing something challenging like CrossFit. Like, why have big muscles when you could be fast, be able to jump? Especially me coming from an athletic background, I would rather be good at all those things and be able to jump around than just walk around with big muscles and be out of breath when I'm doing specific movements like that.
And that's just it. Like, and we know this, and I'm not discrediting it. It's one avenue of working out, but so many bodybuilders are actually not very healthy, not very fit.
Oh yeah.
And so, to your point, when you work for the aesthetics, that's all you get, kind of. When
Mhm.
you work out to be healthy, you get the aesthetics too. So you get the accessory aesthetics that I do look good, which you all want to look nice, but you get that along with, yeah, I have a healthy heart and lungs and tendons and a circulatory system and all that kind of stuff. That when you work just for aesthetics, you may look good on the outside and you may be good on the inside, but not necessarily. Like, the two don't go hand in hand at all. Whereas when you do get fit from a full perspective, you almost can't help but look good as well. And I think you look good how your body was meant to look good. I think that takes, some of us are stockier, some of us are longer, all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And I think you're going to end up looking the best you can look, rather than just going for, yeah, I need to make my muscles as big as possible or something like that.
But and exactly that, I was gonna say that even before you touched up on it, the most exaggerated example of that is the best looking and muscular men in the world, like the ones you see on social media and win awards for it, are not healthy. I'm not like, again, I am friends with a lot of people who compete. They are hard workers.
Sure.
Nothing taking away from that. They lift 2 times a day. Their eating regimen is insane. That's a grind of itself. They work extremely hard. But in terms of health and the longevity of life, it's
Yep.
not there in the most exaggerated example that I could give in that industry.
Bodybuilders tend to be very sickly. Like, I've known a bunch of them too, and I agree with you. They work hard. They're
Yeah.
very disciplined at times with their diet, but they tend to get sick a lot because, yeah, they don't have everything else in their body is often suffering at the expense of, I need to
Of
have a certain
bodybuilding.
look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Hey,
it,
touching on the diet aspect, what does your diet look like? Because you're not just lifting, you're doing all the CrossFit. Obviously, it takes a lot more food, nutrition to do all that. So, what does your diet look like at the moment?
So I would say, I think people overcomplicate diet, and I think it's I think when you overcomplicate, it's an easy way to say I can't do it because you
Mhm.
make it too complicated.
Yeah.
I am just the closest way to say is paleo, which is again eating just a lot of meat, a lot of vegetables, just stuff that is food in the sense that like doesn't have a label. I don't eat many processed foods. I what I drink is basically coffee, water,
Mm.
unsweet iced tea. Like that's pretty much the extent of Topo Chico, some carbonated water, that kind of stuff. But that's pretty much it on that end. And then food, yeah, I eat a lot of meat. And frankly, my wife, who you wouldn't believe because she's smaller than me, she eats, I always say she eats as much meat as a small mountain lion. She like eats insane amount of meat and she is super lean and super fit. And same, I will say, like, I like vegetables a little bit more than her. So I just tend to eat more salads and vegetables just because personal
Mhm.
preference. I like meat too, but she loves it. And so I would say she is almost not complete carnivore, but I would say about 90%. Whereas I more still eat meat, but I'm getting a lot more veggies and other stuff in the mix. So it's pretty low carb. Uh, I get my carbs from vegetables and that kind of stuff. And then I think the ultimate thing is, I think both in society at large in general is the sugar. That is the ultimate, like, that's the problem for all of us.
Okay.
And it's just so prevalent. And so it is avoiding sugar as much as possible. And listen, I have a sweet tooth. We all do. Like you got to still live life to some
Mhm.
extent. I'm not saying that, but it is limiting that as much as possible because the more you can limit that, the better off you are. So yeah, I don't worry about portion control. Some
Okay.
people like if you're into that, and my wife does weigh and measure. She likes doing it. She has this very analytical brain, and she likes doing that. I just eat till I'm full. So I very much am like I eat when I eat, but I try and have meat at every meal, and then it depends on like at the gym I'll be eating jerky sticks and nuts and I eat any kind of nuts. I just whatever I'm not sick of lately, that kind of thing. And then lately at home it's just a large salad and I just throw whatever meat we're eating that day on top of the salad. So yeah, essentially meat, vegetables, nuts, seeds, as little sugar as possible, and then not a whole lot of starchy vegetables. Like when we eat potatoes, it tends to be more sweet potatoes. We'll still eat regular potatoes. I just try and limit it. And fruit, too, their fruit can be too much of a good thing. So like fruit is great for you. It is good for you.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of sugar and a lot of different parts of fruit. And if you go too crazy that way, it can become a little bit too much. So like one of my favorites is I get some Greek yogurt in the evening as a snack, throw in some blueberries and strawberries. I'll crunch up some pecans or something like that, throw it in there. And that's a real treat for me. And so that's the kind of stuff I've eaten. And as you get older, I will say, um, you can get away with less. And so it's my diet has evolved as I've gotten older, where I've had to tighten it up as I go on because I can't get away with as much. When I was in my 30s and early 40s, I love milk. I just have a taste for it. And so I was drinking boatloads of it. And I think it's great for you. I think it's one of the reasons I have never broken any bones, even though I've been had some pretty significant accidents. But as I was getting older, just the a lot of fat content in it, which again, fat is good for you. So I don't want to
Mhm.
demonize that. But I just had to learn that like I needed to cut that out from a caloric expenditure sense. But I think the point of all that is I think if you're eating food that doesn't have a label and it is meat centric, so that is the main thing in your diet, you're going to be fine. And meat gets demonized, though I am happy to see like some of that is going away. But yeah, we evolved as carnivores and we very much are carnivores. And if you think about it from a historical perspective, often fruit and vegetables would have just not been very available. So it would make sense that our body would run a lot on meat and then whatever vegetables available. And I think carbs, talking, when people work out, they will say, oh, I need a lot of carbs. That is not an excuse to eat shitty processed stuff
Yeah.
because
Yeah, I agree with that.
it's not just about the calories. It is about what
Hmm.
the food does to your body, what the food tells your body to do from a hormonal perspective. So it is not just a math problem. It is also, is this food telling me to produce more insulin? Is it having some kind of other effect? And when you're eating the kind of just food that doesn't need a label that looks like food, you don't have to worry about it too much. You're not going to go too wrong that way.
Yeah, I mean, on that note, Whole foods, I think whole foods, obviously, I agree, whatever makes you feel good, whatever, your
Sure.
diet has to make you feel good. You got to feel good what you're doing. But I think
Yep.
whole foods is the most important thing because you're right. I mean, yeah, you could track your macros and, your diet, eat this amount of calories, eat that. But if you really want to live a healthy lifestyle, eating whole foods like that could just make it so much simpler. It can make it
And
so much
it's like
simpler.
people like to track their macros, but then
Mhm.
because a donut and a ice cream sundae fit into their macros, they can have it.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah,
if
yeah,
I
yeah.
if I have 500 calories of steak and potatoes and green beans, or I have 500 calories of donuts, those two things have profound differently impacts on the
Mhm.
bodies. Even, I mean, if it's a carb perspective, if I have 500 calories of carbohydrates from vegetables and nuts and that kind of stuff, or 500 calories with carbohydrates from a donut or something like that, it has a totally different effect. And so we just can't track macros. I think you can really go astray. Macros are a good way to go because it does tell your body, yeah, we do need a certain amount of carbs, we do need a
Yeah.
certain amount of fat, we do need a certain amount of protein, but the source of those nutrients is very important too. And that's where I think people can be misled and feel good that, oh, I'm eating healthy because I stayed in my macros, where no, you're not eating anywhere close to healthy.
Mhm. And I think that's one of the biggest controversies right now that I see is whether it's like some people are on that, whatever hits your macros. And that's such a
Yep.
big comparison between if I eat 500 calories of junk food and I eat 500 calories of meat and vegetables and fruit. And it's such a big thing. It's like, yeah, there's the side where it's like, you could eat 500 calories of this, 500 calories of that. And if you're trying to lose weight and you eat under your calorie expenditure, you're gonna lose the weight regardless. But at the
Yeah.
end of the day, it's like we don't this food is not said to be healthy for no reason. Like the benefits from it are like it just could do so much from your body from eating 500 calories of the whole food rather than the junk food that what you're supposed to be putting in your body at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean that's where I think that's a little bit of controversial, but you're right. Like when you go back to the old food pyramid, the bottom of the pyramid was like grains and rice and that kind of stuff, which is totally misleading because we were not supposed to be eating that. And when you're thinking about it from a worldwide perspective, and we were trying to stop starvation on the planet, like those are cheap foods you can make in mass cheaply and feed to the masses, but that is not how we were designed to run optimally on the body. And yeah, eating healthy can be a little bit more expensive if you're getting the meats and you're getting the vegetables. And so I understand the economics of it. But if we're
Mm.
talking about what the body's meant to run on, it is, yeah, you want to avoid the grains and all that kind of stuff like as much as possible. And that's not what you've been taught by the mainstream. Now it's becoming more and more obvious that isn't working. I would like to say I don't know that it's quite caught on in a big picture sense, but I'm seeing it more and more on various news shows and other stuff where I think this is coming to light that a lot of what we were taught back in the day is healthy is just not. It's just wrong.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because it's starting to come out with some people. There's some people who don't care about anything, but then there's some people who are uneducated and just look at the label like, oh, this has low calories, and it's like that looks good. But if you just turn it a little bit more and now look at the ingredients, it's like that's probably way less healthier than if this had 150 more calories because it has all of the crap in it. So it's
It,
like really
yeah,
is that it's like there's so many things and so many people are uneducated on it, and then it's so misinterpreted too that it's like in order to lose weight and be healthy you have to eat nasty foods and starve yourself. It's like no, like that, like this is what we try to really get out, that it's like it's not that at all. Like you said, people overcomplicate it. Just eat things that are organic. Watch your sugars. That doesn't mean no sugars, but you know what I'm saying. Just
yep, yep.
just
I
stay on
mean,
top of everything.
if you see a lot of ingredients, that should already be a warning sign. If
Yeah.
something lists and there's a paragraph of ingredients, I don't care what it's listing, that's a bad sign. Like it should have either if you're buying something that has ingredients, you should be able to list like 5 things or something like that. When there's 25 things on the label, I already know that is not something that would be ideal for you to be eating, period.
Hmm.
And that's where going back to the bodybuilders, I think that's part of the issue is they eat so much of the protein shakes and the processed protein bars and these processed snacks. And I get it. It's fitting into their macros because it's very specific and they can measure that. But I think that's also why they're so sickly. They're not eating real food and they're not getting all the micronutrients and it's
Yeah.
just not as digestible as real food. So you're getting, in a sense, these big picture. I'm filling my protein bucket and I'm filling my fat bucket and my carb bucket, but you're not getting any of the micronutrients and you're eating stuff that your body has to work very hard to squeeze out something from. And I think that's a big reason why they end up not being healthy is because they eat so much processed stuff. And yeah, just get back to it. To your guys' point, if you're eating and you're miserable, no one's going to sustain that. So you
100%.
have to be, yeah, you have to be able to eat in a way that you enjoy and still live life. So if I want to go have a cheeseburger, I still go have a
Yeah.
cheeseburger. If I want to go eat enchiladas, I do it, but I don't do it all the time. And a lot of times for me, I've gotten used to when I get a burger, I'll make the pick. I'll either go bunless or I won't get French fries. So it's like one of these things where I'm still living life and I'm eating how I like to eat, but I'm doing it in moderation that way. And so that's the kind of stuff you learn to do. And then it's just learning to eat that way that it's sustainable so you don't have to have a cheat day that you can just eat like this. And then when the occasion you're at a birthday party, something else, yeah, you can have a piece of cake. You don't want to, I'm not asking people to be a big weirdo. I'm just asking people that most of the time you're putting that kind of thought into it and eating stuff that like is from when we were killing and hunting for food. That's what we would have been eating at that time
Yeah. And
too.
I think on that, I think moderation, like you said, keyword, but it is the biggest thing. Eating in moderation is so important. It's so important to living a healthy lifestyle, and just being happy because forget about even the physical aspect, but the mental aspect is so big. Like you have to be happy and you have to enjoy it. And I think moderation is key to that. But I also think that, in the world now, it's crazy because so many people will find it weird when someone is trying to eat healthy, when someone orders this thing that's like, you go out to a restaurant with your friends, everyone's getting, burgers, something like that. Say you try to get something healthy, it's looked at as weird almost. And I
It
think
is.
that's just it's just not right.
I think what it is in some ways, when you're eating healthy, and I'm not saying this is happening consciously, but you're in a little bit ruining their good time. When they're not
Yeah.
joining into whatever they're eating, you're kind of shining a light on, I'm doing something different and I'm trying to eat
Hmm.
healthy. And it's kind of taking away from some of their enjoyment of their meal because I'm over here with whatever I've got, this big fried thing, and you're eating whatever you got, the chicken breast or whatever you got that's remotely healthy. And it's almost like then they'll either start to make fun of you or make little comments and stuff. And I think it's a subconscious thing of I'm kind of ruining their good time or making them feel guilty. And so there's a lash out from that. And that is unfortunate. It's a little bit human nature, but
Hmm.
it is like I agree with you. It's unfortunate that is a common occurrence. Because I know when
Yeah.
I get people at the gym and they start to care more about their fitness, and so they do start to eat a different way. It can be family members and friends. Like, why are you being such a weirdo? Like, why are you being so uptight about this? And it's just some of these trying to, figure out a better way to live life. Like, I like how I look. I like how I feel. I have more energy. That's what, it's not worth it to me anymore to eat this kind of stuff. But yeah, it's a little bit of a guilt trip they'll end up giving you on
Yeah.
it.
And I gotta say, especially through social media, I feel like we're definitely shifting towards eating healthier now way more than it was. Like I feel like it's definitely becoming a bigger thing because you see all these different posts and all this new content saying that it's okay to. I think that's a good thing that's come out of all this. That's
Yep.
definitely a good thing that it's okay to eat healthy and eat things that make you feel good because the way we were eating that was so normalized wasn't good for anybody.
And so that's to your point, and social media gets demonized. And I agree, there's a lot of negativity
Yeah,
and
yeah.
negative things that
Two
come with
sides
it.
to it.
But you're right. You can find the other people out there that are doing it right and providing good information and good examples of how to do it. And so you don't feel so isolated, or you can find these examples in life that you wouldn't find maybe in your local social circle or anywhere nearby. In the same with, as I'm getting 50, it used to be like, oh, you're just old. And that's a classic excuse for people. Oh, I'm old now. Well, I can find people easily on social media that are 60 and 70 that are kicking ass in life, that
Yep.
look great, that are ripped, and so it takes away that, like, oh, you can't do it at a certain age excuse. Because look at this dude. Like, what's your excuse? Because he's doing
Exactly.
it. And so I agree with you. I think that's a positive from social media is you can find more, there is more information out there that you can get for free than we've ever had in the history of this earth, this planet. Like there's so much quality information. You have to filter through some of the other bad information for sure. You have to be discerning, but it's out there if you want to look for it.
And yeah, and like you said before, it's at the end of the day, it's our end goal is to be more healthier. So these people on social like look better, feel better, more energy, natural, which overall correlates to being more healthier. And the social media aspect of it, it's like I think people, my personal opinion, I think people like to be like other people. So when there's some videos online of like your gym and the community coming together and everyone's making this change, it's like other people want to start doing that. And I feel like that's really what's happening right now in our social media landscape. Like I'll even use myself as an example. I was always just that teenage lifter, and then you start seeing guys online, Nick Bear to be example, these hybrid guys
Yep.
and now all of a sudden you sim 365 days and I have a 50-mile ultra marathon coming up. You know what I'm saying? And it's like just this feeling of inclusion is that there's other people out there and like I'm getting home from the gym and eating my meal while watching one of their videos. It's just so cool. This whole environment and this community, it's so awesome because there's other communities out there. Communities are awesome of everyone that shares the same like-mind idea, but this specific one of everyone sharing the idea of improving their life and they don't want to look like this or feel like this anymore. To me, it's just so awesome.
Agree. It's super motivating. And you see other people that, right, you can identify with that you saw that you see the transformation, you see that day-to-day work matters and it's motivating for you when you're having a down day or oh it's not going to work. You can look up these people and see that other people have done it. And so I agree. At any given time, yeah, same with me. Like I can be eating my lunch and both educating myself and getting motivated by watching one of these videos of somebody else. Same for me. So like I'm older, but seeing this other 50-year-old guy that's had surgeries, that's working through this stuff, and look at him doing another muscle up or hitting a 500-pound deadlift.
Mm-hmm.
And so to your point, I just think that is such a positive from that. And it does, I will say, like at the gym, because a lot of people don't like to work out. So I get these different groups of women at the gym, and they may be mothers or even grandmothers or stuff, but they saw their friend lose 50 pounds and they're like, you know what, she can do it, I can do it. And they might not have ever had the motivation to do that, but then they do it too. And then their next friend does it.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they can all compare to look at where we were. Here I am 10 years older and I've never looked better. And I think we can all thank the fact that we have that community, online community, to just keep us pushing when we might otherwise be like, I just don't have it anymore or something like that. Like you can help fight through that. So I agree. That is awesome.
Yeah, speaking on that sense of community, like we talk a lot about how people are creating different communities online. Now, your specific CrossFit community, are you involved online a lot? Do you put any content out there in that area?
So I couple things. So I do have my own YouTube channel, Right On with Dan, where I
Okay.
do the weekly video. And I started with it just kind of talking to my members about gym stuff and the lifestyle and all that. And it was geared pretty much for my members. Now I've been doing it for a couple years
Mhm.
and it's starting to reach a little bit outside of that. The reach is getting broader with it, where I have a lot of other people. And I like it because, one, to be frank, it adds credibility for me that I know what I'm talking about and that I can argue my point well on whatever in this field it may be, as well as I know a lot of my members, just to your point, they'll listen to it in the car on the way to work or on the way home and have found it very motivating to just put their mind in a positive frame of thought of not finding reasons why they can't do it, but finding how they can do it and that kind of stuff. And beyond that, within our little gym, there's a lot of different software systems. Ours is called Wattify, but it's our
Okay.
own little, it's like a little Facebook community, but just for the gym. And so, yeah, there's lots of interaction on there between gym members talking to each other, giving shout outs for their performance. Somebody got a PR on this workout or this lift. And so that is something everybody uses on a daily basis and quite a bit. And I like it because it's just our kind of our little community at the gym. So it's a very safe place that way with that. And So yeah, and we have Instagram too. And we're always reposting a lot of our members' successes and stuff they're doing and kind of the normal thing that way. And yeah, it's a necessity and it's just a nice added benefit that we can keep reaching people in their lives a lot more than just at the gym.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
Definitely.
especially in modern day now, everything's online, so it's definitely important 100% to like not only by word of mouth, but you put those little videos out there of someone benching this or and I
Yep.
think it's important. Like I like to put videos out there myself too, running this, doing this, but
Yep.
especially in the business aspect of it, and definitely including CrossFit, when you're seeing all these people work out like we were talking before, it makes you want to do it. And it's like instead of someone having a come to your gym this second, they text you online and they're like, hey, I'm looking forward to get started with this. And you could help someone just through the text of a phone or, the shoot of an email on a computer. So I think it's so big to do that, especially in modern day and just to build your community, build people around you.
I mean, yeah. So at my gym, we have a little over 160 members. On
Okay.
any given day, I'm probably texting individually with 6 to 10 of them.
Oh,
And so
wow.
I'm always reaching out with different ones. And that's just it. They're having a hard time or they're asking a question about a lift or they had an injury. How can I work around this injury? It's just day-to-day stuff or just,
Yeah.
you know, regular banter back and forth. It is both a necessity and something I really like doing because to your point, it lets me stay in contact and develop such personal relationships with all of them besides the time I saw them in class. And I love it. Like it's a necessary part of my job, but it's also a part of the job that I love doing that allows me to just be friends with these people on an individual level, that I can have individual interactions with all of them just through that just through texting with them and stuff. And in that way, because there's only so much time in the day, and I like to go have coffee with my members or go have lunch, meet up for stuff like that. But I can only do so many of those at any given time. And when you have 160 people, I'm not going to be able to do that with all of
It's a
them all the
lot. Yeah.
time. Yeah, but I can text with a bunch on any given day, and it
Mhm.
allows me to stay in constant contact with all of them on a regular basis. And then to your point, from a business aspect, you have to have a social media presence. And the
Oh,
bigger
yeah.
it is, the more I think it builds an authentic reputation for you. There can be, marketing and stuff where it is show with no substance underneath. But when you have the substance, but you also have the recognizability because you're putting it out there, that's a very powerful weapon when you have both of those. Because if you just have the show but no substance, I think you'll get big or be known for a little while, but it's not going to last because there's nothing behind it. But when you're making a real difference in people's lives and you can be known out there that way, it lets you reach so many more people than you would have ever been able to reach otherwise.
Yeah. So real quick, staying on like kind of this business landscape. So obviously you're juggling a lot of things with yourself, right? In terms of your love for the sport and you working out and your diet, and then
Yeah.
juggling the business aspect of it. What would you say is kind of like the most difficult thing to struggle? Like, are you wearing all the hats? I was just curious on all those things with 160 members plus your own yourself
Yeah.
being a member, if you know what I mean, if that was a good way to word it. But I was just
Yeah. Yeah.
wondering, yeah, I was just wondering like what the bottlenecks of something like that and the burnout and how you manage everything and what that's all like.
So I'll say, this is where I've seen a lot of people not last as CrossFit gym owners because they may like CrossFit as working out. So, then I'll just own a CrossFit gym. Owning the gym and running a successful gym has nothing to do with you liking the workouts. It has
Yeah.
absolutely, it's a completely different
Mhm.
skill set and job requirement. And so that's where I see people buy gyms because they're really into the workouts and then suddenly they realize that has nothing to do with all the rest of this stuff and they do get burned out. So owning a CrossFit gym is not like owning a gas station or even like owning a spin studio. Like it takes daily and many hours a day of constant upkeep from the fact that like I am the janitor half the time and I am the equipment maintenance guy. And yeah, I'm talking with members about stuff and I'm having to work online managing the finances and the budget of the gym. And so I am fortunate in the fact I think I came into it a little more eyes wide open because I'd worked in the fitness industry and I'd managed gyms myself. So I had done all that kind of stuff and I knew I didn't mind it. And now that I'm doing it for myself, I actually love it. So I would say the biggest thing that I will get burnout on, I like coaching class, but it is takes a lot of brain energy, a lot of energy on yourself. You've got to lead the energy in the room. And if I'm coaching from 5 a.m. to 7 at night, I am not a great coach because I just have
Yeah.
to be in survival mode. But you have to do it for a while because you can't afford coaches for a while. Now I've
Mhm.
gotten to the point where I can afford coaches. I'm more of a morning person. So I coach all the mornings just because I like it. And I coach more than most owners who have owned a gym as long as I have, because a lot of owners have gotten burnout on that. I, for better or worse, still love it. I love it more than I did at the beginning. I'm better at it and I know what I still need to work on. So I enjoy the challenge of it. But it's nice now to be able to have other coaches coach in the evening. So I've got 2 to 4 classes in a day, and I can do those really good. Where if I've got 8 classes in a day, I'm just not going to be able to have the same amount of energy and focus, and it's not going to be as high a level of service. So I'd say the most tiring part of my job is actually coaching the classes, which is why a lot of owners end up getting out of that side, and they just will run everything behind the scenes and manage the gym and the administration of everything and let other people coach. But in my mind, when people are at a gym, they are loyal to the person providing their experience. So they are loyal to their coaches, and your coaches have all the power. And I want to have other coaches that people are very loyal to, but I want to be the biggest part of that.
Yeah.
And so I want to be the biggest part of the experience at my gym because I want them to be loyal, for better or worse, to myself. So myself and my wife both coach, and we both come from that background. And I have a lot of other coaches that have been with me for years, and they're awesome. I trust them completely. But I have a different mindset than a lot of CrossFit owners who don't want to coach anymore, because I think it's essential, and I will always be the busiest coach at the gym. I will always
Yeah.
do that.
And I think that's important, for especially like we said, like having relationships with the people that come to your gym, they want it. You're the owner of the gym. You want to have a presence, you know what I mean? You want people to be able to
Yeah.
say, hey, how you doing? Like you want to know people, and then you want to make them feel welcome, to make them feel like, we're all doing this together. Like, even though I just own the gym, I don't just own it. Like I'm here putting in the
Yep.
same work you do. I want to see you make progress too. And I think that's such a big thing. But I think you're right. Like, you can't coach classes all day, because that's when you burn out. That's when you don't want to do it. Then you kind of fall out of love with it. I think that, like you said, at first you have to start with that, but now it's great that you still love it and you still want to coach the classes, but you have your help so you don't get burned out, and so you can still keep up the energy and the relationships with all the other people that have come into your gym.
I think a failing both from personal trainers and gym owners is they don't practice what they preach, and it takes away from their credibility. And I
Yeah.
say I should be doing the same workouts my members are doing. If the
Mhm.
workouts are not good enough for me, then they're not good enough for my members either.
Yeah.
And so I've seen this at CrossFit gyms where the coaches or somebody else, they have their special workouts they do over here, and here's the workouts for the members. And to me, that's a really bad look. Like, my workouts should make the best athlete in the gym better, and they should also make grandma better.
Yeah.
And that's hard from a programming standpoint. So you have to be good at programming. And I will say a lot of CrossFit gyms buy their programming now. And if you don't know what you're doing, you should buy it, because like you're going to mess things up if you don't. But
Mhm.
I think the best case scenario is someone at that gym is doing all the programming and putting enough variety within that everybody can be in class together and everybody can be getting fit together. I just think it's a good look. And so the fact that I do them, my wife does them, they see us working on our diet, they see me in class struggling, that I'm failing, that I'm really tired, that I'm laying on the floor gasping, that some days I have good days and some days I have bad days. I think that adds so much credibility to what we do, because they can see we're not just telling them it's good for them, that it's just as good and necessary for me as well.
Yeah. And honestly, on that, like I see, the gyms I go to. I was just talking to my parents about this. We're having a conversation about this, about how, you go to the gym, especially as a newcomer, and yeah, I get you don't know what you're doing, but you see some of these trainers and they look so out of shape, and that
Yeah.
always, like, they could be smart, they could know what they're doing, but like if I see my trainer out of shape, it's like, why would I want him? Why would I trust? Why would I trust him If
100%. I
then
totally
that's I
agree
think
with
that's
you.
a big thing that you were placing a lot of emphasis on. Like, you should be working just
If
as
you
even
choose to go,
twice as hard as me.
yeah, if you choose to go into this field as someone that's helping other people get more fit, you better be doing it yourself,
Yep,
or I think you're just in the wrong field. I just think you are.
completely
And it's
agree.
unfortunate when I see that. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I mean, just another question that we like to ask people. Just it's just kind of fun, but like, if you had like a magic wand to solve something holding you back in either growing the business or elevating the experience, or maybe taking this magic wand to take you off of a task, like what would you say that would be right now for where your guys are at?
Man, that's a good question. Let me think about that. So it's going to be a little bit of a long-winded answer, but I think there's several different, I call it pillars that hold up a gym.
Okay.
There's the coaching, there is the programming, um, there's the community, and then there's a fourth one, the facility. So I see four posts that hold up a gym. It has to have good programming. It has to have good, if it's a small community gym, even if it's doing something else, it has good programming that gets results, doesn't injure you. It has to have a good, positive community that makes you want to come back and feel a part of something. It has to have good coaching to apply that programming, because if you can have really bad programming, but if you have really good coaches, they can overcome it. If you have really good programming, but you have really shitty coaches, the programming won't make a difference. You need
Yeah.
really good coaches. The one I think is the least important is the facility. You have to have enough space to get it done. Now, the less equipment you have, the more creativity, or the more space, the less space you have, the more creativity you have to have. So it does make it more difficult, but it's the one that I think you can live without the most. Now, having said that, if you were asking me for a magic wand, and I guess it's a good place for me to be at this stage in my life, being a nerd about the industry, I'd love to be able to have an unlimited budget on equipment, because as much as I think we have plenty and have enough, I always want more, because I just like doing new stuff with my members. I think there's basic things we need to be doing. We need to be squatting. We need to be lifting stuff off the ground. We need to be pushing stuff overhead. There's certain basic movement patterns the body needs to do. But going back to our point about being athletic, I think it's very both fun and necessary to learn new skills from a physical standpoint, to learn new skills with your body, whether it's playing a new sport or just learning a new exercise. I think it keeps the brain learning. I think it keeps your brain like just, I think it helps keep you young. I think it helps keep you athletic. And I think it makes things exciting. And so, having said that, I like to find new stuff to throw at my members just to make them learn something new, have a little creativity. And I do that all the time. But at the same time, just like a kid in a candy store, I'd love to have an unlimited budget on that. So, because there's other cool stuff I could do.
Yeah.
It's not a requirement, but you're going back to, yeah, if I had a wish list, that would be probably something I would do. Uh, Beyond that, I mean, things are good. I wish, so if there was one other thing, I think it's very important when you start working out that other people in your social circle are working out with you. Now you end up making friends at the gym, but my point being,
Yeah.
I think CrossFit, if you're married or have a girlfriend and only one of a girlfriend, boyfriend, and only one of you does CrossFit, I think it's bad for the relationship, because I just think it causes dissension, because you get really into it and the other person's annoyed with you that, this is what you're talking about or excited about, and you're annoyed with them that they're not doing it. If you're both doing it, I think it's great for the relationship. And that can be, it can be like we're both big into biking, or I can be into Pilates and you can be into CrossFit. But I think it's essential that you both are working on your fitness, because if one isn't and one isn't, I
Yeah.
think it causes a break. So having said that, as soon as I get a member, if they have a significant other in their life, I'm trying to get that other person to join
Into
too,
the
because
okay.
I know they'll do it longer. So if I could wave a magic wand, it would be to get the significant other of every person I have in the gym to also join. That would be
Yeah.
something I would do.
Yeah, it's all. No, I definitely agree because then also I mean like if we go into your client's perspective and not even you like I feel like it just if I went back to it, it just makes the household more healthy. I don't know. I'm big
Yeah.
on health, and you know, if you're doing it, but now you're also the significant other also do it. Now their kids are seeing both their parents go to the gym, and it installs that and hard work and dedication to their kids and a healthy household. It you know you can see what point I'm trying to get at.
To your point, I have a 10-year-old daughter. She's grown up in the gym. And I do stuff with her, and she's excited about it. This isn't something I have to do. This is I get to do what mom and dad do. And I always welcome, like kids are welcome in the gym. And again, they can't be in the way.
Mhm.
So, but I have a place upstairs they can go, they can sit off to the side. But I want the kids to see this is what mom and dad do. And they're working hard to stay more fit because I see the kids, they're like, when do I get to do this? And
Yeah.
what a great thing you're instilling in your kids. And
Mhm.
also, um, my in-laws come to the gym. My wife's parents come to the gym, and I have a lot of members who've gotten their mom or their dad involved. And I agree. How great is it that like we're passing this on to other family? Hey, I feel better. I'm going to live longer. I'm going to have more energy. And I want you to have the same thing too. Like talk about a gift you can give that will just give for the rest of their life. Your quality of life is going to be better as long as you're alive. And so I think it's beautiful to see that passed on to kids in the sense that it's something, not something I have to do, but something I get to do. They can see the enjoyment in it. They can see the fun in it. And yeah, we're working hard. And man, mom looks really miserable right there, but she really enjoys this and she's upset when she misses it. And so
Yeah.
then it kind of teaches that the reward of hard work, the satisfaction of hard work. And I don't think kids see that a lot in school or in other places. So I think that's why I welcome the kids in the gym. I want them to see their parents do it because I think they're just so much more incredibly likely to do it themselves as they get older.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
no,
mean,
definitely.
I think.
Oh,
Good,
you
Rob.
go. I was just gonna say you can definitely see like your passion for it and your true love for it. I mean, we discussed so many different topics, and I think it all just comes back to seeing how really passionate and love for it you have. Just like
I
you were
do.
saying, how people you know realize that it's a business and they can't train, so they let that go, but. You didn't let that get affected because deep down you started this for that, so you keep instilling. Obviously, you know, not doing it the lengths, obviously, that you said you were in the beginning, but keeping doing that is what I see. And you saying your magic wand would to have your clients, significant others, you know, in the small communities, it's really awesome to see.
Thanks. I mean, I do. I mean, that's what I say. Like at gyms, people have to see. I tell owners, if you're not having fun or you're over it, you should close because people aren't dumb. And I don't care how you paint it, they're going to eventually see through and see
Yeah.
you. And my members can see that. They can see my genuine passion for it. And yes, this is how I make a living. I charge a membership rate, but they know I am doing everything in my power to give them everything I can for that membership.
Mhm.
And so they are happy to pay it. And I have members I've had for 10, 11, 12 years. I've watched them go from their late 30s to early 50s. And they're happy to do it because they know I'm doing the absolute best I can to give them the best service and product possible for their membership. If if I was trying to cut corners or maximize profits and do as little as possible while making as much as possible, they would figure that out eventually. I don't care how I spin it or what
Yeah.
I say. People aren't dumb. And that's what I see happen at gyms that are doing that is people will join, but they figure it out eventually. And then that's when that gym starts to lose people because they see through your bullshit. And so you better in this world, you better be authentic in a CrossFit gym or you're going to get found out eventually by people. You can pass it off for a while, and some are good at passing it off for a long while, but that has a shelf life. And so, yeah, I feel very good about the fact that they know I'm not bullshitting them. I will, if they want to know if they need this watch or this pair of shoes or this equipment, if I think it'll help, yeah, it could help. If I think they don't, then I'm like, no, don't get it. And I feel, and I'm just going to shoot them. This is my opinion, and I may even be wrong, but this is what I think about the matter. And they know they're going to get an honest proposal from me on it. So I appreciate that you say that because yeah, it means I'm in the right job because I love it.
Yeah, and hitting one last factor, just moving back to the online aspect of it. You know, you say, you know, you do the CrossFit gym. Have you ever thought about bringing it to online? Because online training has become such a big thing. I see so many people doing. Have you ever thought about moving on to that and even training people online like that?
Being able
Yes,
to train people all over the country.
so it is a failing of mine in the sense that yes, I would like to, because you're right. I could reach more people,
Yeah.
but it is hard for me to figure out the power of being in person with them. And the issue is consistency. People, I
Hmm.
don't care what the workout is, they need to be doing it. And like I said, I can give you the most amazing program in the world in a spreadsheet, but if you're at home and you're just not doing it, then you're not
You're
going to
not going
do
to
it.
get the results. Yeah.
So get the results. So you're right. I know people that have made that very successful. I have not figured out for me the method that allows me to do that successfully yet. I'm just very good at being in person and in person contact with people. And again, we communicate text and that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
That broad range of finding a way to still build that relationship through some kind of medium online. So yes, I have thought about it. And I do train a few people online that used to be at the gym and then moved. So I already had that relationship,
Okay, I got you.
but I have not been able to grow it just on its own as its own entity. And I would really like to. We've had better results with working with people on diet online and working on
Yeah.
the nutrition side because that is more of sometimes just a know-how. And even if they're not great at practicing it, if we're educating them on the right way to eat, they're slowly if somebody's very good about following the instructions, they'll get better fast. This
Hmm.
person may be getting better much slowly because they just, they're not eating the right way, but at least they're learning how to, and there's value to that. And so that part of the business is not huge, but has grown to be a fairly significant part of the business. And I'm really proud of that. But on the training side, it's a failing of mine that I haven't figured out how to do successfully yet.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
awesome. Awesome. I mean, Chris, if you have one more question, we don't want to hold too much of your time. I know we said 30, 40 minute conversation. Chris, if you have maybe one more question, wrap this bad boy up.
yeah, I know. Honestly, I'm good. I mean, a great
Yeah.
conversation. I was so happy to die. I didn't really know much. I knew a little about CrossFit, but I'm so happy we got to talk about that. And yeah, no, I'm grateful that you came on here. This was a great conversation. Thank you.
Man, I really appreciate y'all's time too. This
Yeah,
was
of
awesome.
course.
I enjoyed this. Man, it was almost an hour and that flew by. I was having
Yeah,
fun. So
right.
thanks, guys.
No,
Yeah,
definitely,
that was good.
it was fun. So real
Yeah.
quick, Dan, if you like to, say some stuff, so maybe some eyes get on, you can drop like, what you're all
Yeah.
about just
So
one last time in your gym and everything.
if you want to look us up, King William District CrossFit.com is the website. Look on there, you'll find my email address, all that, or look on Instagram, King William District CrossFit. And then if you like YouTube, yeah, look up Right On with Dan or look up the Devil's Details. Both of those will take you to my site. You'll see a bunch of videos. And whether you want to learn about programming, diet, just gym life in general, I make little 10 to 20-minute videos, and it's something to kill time in the car with, or maybe it'll put you to sleep at night when you're in bed.
And of course, as always, we'll drop all those links down below the
Yeah.
Instagram, the website, the YouTube
Thanks.
channel. Everything's just going to be the click down below. So we can't appreciate you enough. Like you said, the hour flew. So much fun, both learning and bouncing things off of each other. So yeah, it was awesome.
Thanks, guys. Take it easy.
Yep.